Entrepreneurial prerequisites. This is what qualifies you to be an entrepreneur, right? If you have a proper team structure, you have good personnel, a strong vision for the future, and an appetite for risk taking. If you have those, you are an entrepreneur.
What's up, fam? Before we get into today's episode, I want you to go check out our website at www.igotdreamspodcast.com and subscribe to our emailing list. We are creating the ultimate accountability group for entrepreneurs. So if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a business leader, if you are a dreamer, we want you to be a part of our group. All you got to do is go to www.igotdreamspodcast.com and subscribe to our emailing list, and we'll take it from there. This thing is going to be bigger than us, and we want you to be a part of it. Again, go to www.igotdreamspodcast.com and subscribe to our emailing list. Now, let's get back to the show.
But I realized in continuing reading this book, The Lean Startup, so it has, I think, four parts to it. And so we're still in part one, actually. So the first part is vision. And so that's that's where we're at. We're in the first part, which is vision, in the second session, which is called define, right? So it's talking about like what is entrepreneurship? Like who is an entrepreneur? And it was pretty decent session actually. I learned a lot. I got 5 points from it. So the first point I actually got from it was anyone can be an entrepreneur. Like literally anyone can be an entrepreneur. Whether you work a 9 to 5 or whatever, there are certain entrepreneurial prerequisites that qualifies you to be an entrepreneur. And we'll talk about that in a second. So the book actually talks about a corporate manager who, and it kind of ties into like the first session, right? So talk about a corporate manager who is tasked with starting a new product line for their company to create a new stream of revenue, right? And so it goes along the lines of that point. It's saying that he has all the makings of the entrepreneur. What he doesn't have is the process, right? So entrepreneurial prerequisites. This is what qualifies you to be an entrepreneur, right? If you have a proper team structure, you have good personnel, a strong vision for the future, and an appetite for risk taking. If you have those, you are an entrepreneur, right? And so the book actually refers to those people who like work in corporate America or work a 9 to 5, but they are creating new products and new stream of revenue inside of that, well, under that corporate umbrella. They call them entrepreneurs, right? Because they are being innovative within the corporate within the corporate umbrella. That makes sense. So that's what the book called entrepreneur. So you have entrepreneurs and you have entrepreneurs, which they have sim- very similarities, a lot of similarities, right? And so that's the first point. Anyone can be an entrepreneur, like no matter where you work, no matter if you work for yourself, you can be an entrepreneur. The second point is because everyone can be an entrepreneur, not everyone can create a startup, right? So on page 27, it talks about what a startup is. So a startup is a human institution designed to create a new product or service under conditions of extreme uncertainty. And so if you meet that definition, if you have designed a new product or service and you really not sure if it's going to work because it's extreme uncertainty, like you're introducing something new to the marketplace, so that qualifies you as a startup, right? And so the book also gives us the definition of a product, which is one that encompasses any source of value for the people who become customers. So when you create something of value and you give it out to people, like that's called your product, right? And so that's really the second point. So it also made the point that if it's not innovative, then it's not a startup, right? So anybody can create a business model, copy somebody else's business model, copy their pricing, copy their target customers and their product, right? Anybody can do that, but that does not qualify you as a startup. Like you have to be innovative because the only thing that's required in that is that for and if you're copying somebody else's business model is just for you to follow that plan. And once you follow that plan to a T, like that depends on how if you're going to be successful or not. So really it's just based off of execution. It's not really based off of like customer feedback or anything like that because you already had it. Because you can see a successful business model and know that people like this, so you can just copy it and make it your own. But that only requires you to execute on that particular idea. So that doesn't really qualify as a startup. So those are my first 2 points. Anyone can be an entrepreneur. Point number one. Point number two. Not everyone can create a startup. Point number three, a startup has to be innovative. As I just mentioned, the story of like if you're just creating somebody else's business model, if you're just copying someone else's business model, then it's not qualified as a startup. Like it has to be innovative. So the book actually goes into this story about this company called SnapText, right? So SnapText, I'm gonna give you the like how they actually put it in the book. So SnapTax was a company, and they set out to solve um, this issue or to be innovative with allowing people to easily send in their tax documents to them, right? And so they started off by having people fax them their tax documents, which they they quickly discovered that people really didn't know how to use like fax machines and things like that. So they received customer feedback, and one of their customers actually asked them, "Can we just take a picture of the document and send it to you on our phone?" And so SnapTax created their technology to do that. Again, that's putting a product out there, getting customer feedback, and then adjusting, right? And so once they did that, and it was very limited. It was only limited to people. It was only limited to people who lived in California and who had a simple tax return. And so that was their base product. And so when they as people were using it, another customer came to them and asked, "Could I just do my entire tax return on my phone?" And so NavTax thought that, that was a great idea. And so they created it, and they made it where people can actually do their taxes by themselves on their phone, like completely on their phone, right? And so the the point that the book was trying to make here is that SnapTax is actually a product of Intuit. And Intuit is a large financial institution. If you have ever heard of QuickBooks, then that QuickBooks is an Intuit product. TurboTax is an Intuit product, right? So Intuit is a large corporation, but SnapTax was a startup within this corporation. Like the book is really trying to make the point that if you work in a corporation or a 9 to 5, you also can be an entrepreneur. And so that was the biggest point, right? And so Snaptax, well, Intuit, they didn't go outside of their company and find like these world changing entrepreneurs and brought them in to create Snaptax. They employed, well, they just put their employees on a project. They still had a salary. They were still making their own money, but they were entrepreneurs because they were creating this new product that was going to create a new stream of revenue for Snaptax. So, just a couple of quick definitions, real quick. The book talks about sustaining innovation, right? Sustaining innovation is basically what some businesses do currently, where they create a product and they just continue to build on that one product, right? Rather, well, versus destructive innovation. Destructive innovation is creating new sustainable sources of growth, right? So it's creating breakthrough products like every single day. So that's the difference between sustaining innovation and disruptive innovation. Sustaining innovation is building up on one product, having different iterations of it, and making it better. Disruptive innovation is creating new breakthrough products, not necessarily every day, but very often. So yes, so those are 3 points right there. Anyone can be an entrepreneur. Point number two, not everyone can create a startup. Point number three, a startup has to be innovative. And this is point number four. Entrepreneurship is learning, right? That's really the basis of entrepreneurship. It is learning. So it's really just a cycle of creating a product, putting it out there, getting customer feedback, adjusting the product, go back, give more customer feedback, adjusting the product. And so that's the cycle, right? And so what this company, SnapTax, did was they figured out how to actually do it quicker. How to do what they call fast cycle testing, right? And so this was actually like pretty good, like I guess for a corporation who's being innovative. Like they figured out a way to basically test a product every single week because Intuit Intuit as a company, right? Hey, what's up, Unc? Good morning. Good morning. But Intuit as a product, they well as a business, they were trying to be innovative, right? And so they created this fast cycle testing where for their product TurboTax, they only used to be innovative or a little bit innovative when it was tax season, right? But they decided that during tax season, they were going to do multiple testing or multiple iterations of products to improve their turbo tax TurboTax product, right? And so every single week they were testing a new idea as it relates to the TurboTax product, right? And so that was their way of innovative. They will put it out there fast, get customer feedback, refine it, do the whole process over again. And they did that every single week. And what they were doing was they were creating entrepreneurs within their company. So they weren't just creating the employees, they were creating entrepreneurs, and they did this intentionally, right? And so that brings me to my last point: kill fast and double down. Kill fast and doubling down. So it's killing things that don't make sense fast and doubling down on the ones that do. And so the book talks about Intuit made $50 million in 5.5 years before they implemented this process, right, of fast cycling testing. Once they implemented the process of fast cycling testing, they made that same $50 million within 12 months. Question: would you rather make $50 million in 5.5 years or $50 million in 12 months? 12 months, of course. And so what it was like they did the process of killing the things that didn't work fast and doubling down on the ones that do. So and they did that through the fast cycling testing. And I know, you might think, well, you probably didn't give that product enough time to succeed, but that that wasn't the goal. It's really just to put it out there in the market, get customer feedback. Hey, it's not working. Boom, throw it in the trash. Create another product, put it out there. Boom, it's working. Okay, let's keep going on this one. So it's really just you are putting your resources and putting your time in the thing that works instead of the thing that don't. Like it really don't take a long time to figure out if you got a great product, if if you got something that's working, if you put it out there and get customer feedback and do it quick, do it fast, right? So those are the 5 things that I took from session two, define. I'm gonna go back over them real quick. So point number one, anyone can be an entrepreneur. Number two, not everyone can create a startup. Number three, A startup has to be innovative. Number four, entrepreneurship is learning. And number five, kill fast and double down. So that was session two. And so what I want you to do, right? What I want you to do this week is if you work a 9 to 5, if you work in corporate, if you do anything outside of your entrepreneurship journey, I want you to think of ways that you can be innovative at your job. Think of ways that you can be innovative at your current job, right? So when I worked in corporate, I did a lot of things like outside of my job description, right? So I was part of Toastmasters. I was actually the president of education in my Toastmasters group, which actually helped me with my speaking, and it still is helping me. And I really need to get back to those basics. But I was on the event planning committee at my company as well, and so it's just things like that to really get your creative mind going. And you're going to find like two benefits from this. Is it's going to make you more creative and more fulfilled at your job. And it also gives you the opportunity to learn the skill of entrepreneurship on someone else's dime. Just like the story with SnapTax, how they were really just employees of Intuit, it can be the same way with you, right? You can learn the skill of entrepreneurship while somebody else is paying you to do so, right? So, fam. So, really quick, the points again. Anyone can be an entrepreneur. Not anyone can create a startup. Startup has to be innovative. Entrepreneurship is learning. Scale fast. Double down. Homework. Think of ways you can be innovative at your current job. Hey, this book is really great, man. If you haven't already gotten your copy, go ahead and get it, man. We're gonna be on here every Tuesday, dropping this knowledge, and we're gonna grow together as entrepreneurs, right? So that is the goal. And again, this won't always be on live. I'm going to create a system, a group where we can come together. Everyone can get the book, and we can share our thoughts and what we learn from like each chapter together. And so we can build off each other and sharpen each other's iron. Right. So next Tuesday, we're back on here 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, learning entrepreneurship, growing as entrepreneurs, growing as a community, and getting better and better and becoming better business. Right. And so that's it, folks, man. I will holler at y'all. You guys have a blessed and wonderful day. Peace.
Bam. Thank you for listening to this episode. I know you just received a lot of value. So, look, here's what I want you to do now. Go to our social media platforms on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok at I Got Dreams Podcast everywhere, and like, comment, subscribe to all those channels, and let's continue the conversation on there. Look, I told you before, we are creating the ultimate accountability group for entrepreneurs, and we want you to be a part of that group. So go ahead, like, comment, subscribe to our channels at I Got Dreams Podcast everywhere, and we'll see you there. Peace.